So I guess I've been meaning to do this video for a while now. I just never really got around to it. So, what does the Nintendo NX need to succeed? So I'm just going to run through a list of things in no particular order. So first off, the hardware itself will need to be superior to PS4 and Xbox One because it's coming out in such a weird time in the console generation, and you don't want this console coming out, three 3 years after PS4 and Xbox One and have it be on the same level. You definitely want it to be up there superior, like as much as reasonably possible. When I say reasonably possible, I mean within like a good price range that's not like crazy over the top, like $600 PS3 launch, but it needs to be like, probably 350 ish or $300, but like as good as possible for that price. Maybe take a hit on it as far as like the hardware's profit goes, not like a crazy hit, but just it definitely needs to come out and be vastly superior as reasonably possible in comparison to PS4 and Xbox One, because it's a home console. You want it to have at least a 5-year lifespan, and about 2 or 3 years after this console comes out, the Nintendo NX, you can probably expect the next gen systems from Sony and Microsoft. So if you're basically throwing off the console cycle like this, you need to prepare for that in your hardware. So the next thing that the Nintendo NX will need to do is will need to have all the modern features that the current gen consoles have, and then some. Now when I say modern features, this is a wide variety of things, from having a freaking Ethernet port built into the system to having, a bunch of online features that have been the standard for quite a while now. You need to have stuff like cross game chat. You need to have, like a vastly larger number of, maximum friends in your friends list. You need to have an achievement system, which they said they were going to do, so that was really cool, and it was awesome that they said that they were going to apply it the way I always wanted it to be done, integrated with My Nintendo and rewards. That's really awesome. So yeah, you just need to have all those things that you would expect a modern game console to have as far as features go, and hopefully it has these things. I'm very hopeful about this one. Now, on to the next thing, maybe the most important thing right here, is that it needs to have third-party support. Like, collective third-party support. I mean, like, all the third-party support, like, as much as possible. Anything that's coming to a Sony or a Microsoft system that's not, like, straight-up exclusive needs to come to the Nintendo NX. The Wii U, when it launched, it had, like, a little bit of third-party support. I'd say it had, like, probably half or a third of the third-party support that was coming out, and it looked a little promising. The Wii U versions ran like slightly better. That might have looked slightly better than PS3 or 360 versions. Nothing dramatically different, but it looked somewhat promising at first, and then all that just died completely, just completely flat out died. The Nintendo NX needs to come out swinging with Nintendo exclusives and as much third-party support as they can get, and by that I mean pretty much all of it. I've been saying this for like years now. Could you imagine having, reliving the glory days of like NES and SNES, where you had all the Nintendo first-party games and like all the third-party support on one system? That it's mind-boggling to talk about now, but it was a thing back then, and I and many other gamers would love to see that happen, because most of the big games I'm really getting on PS4 are multiplats. Quite frankly, there's a couple of exclusives here and there, but mostly multiplat stuff. And if Nintendo could get all of that support, there'd be very, very little reason for me to venture out and get a PS4 or Xbox One. And I feel like many other Nintendo fans would feel the same way. Quite honestly, all the other Nintendo fans that game on multiple consoles would probably feel that way as well. So it would be great to have all that first and third party support, that one go-to system where it's like, okay, I can just pick this up and it's guaranteed to get pretty much any game I want that's not like, Gears of War or Uncharted or something like that. And finally, this is probably the most important thing. I know I said that about the third party support. These are both like insanely important. So the next thing it needs to have is damn good marketing. As we all know, the Wii U came out with practically no marketing at all. It had the name Wii U, so it confused the average consumer that this was just, an extension of the Wii. This was an add-on to the Wii, or whatever the hell people thought. And I knew this was going to be a problem, sharing a similar name, having no marketing. And I distinctly remember I was invited to one of they were doing a little tour around the country before the Wii U came out. I forget what it was called. This is like the Wii U event, whatever it was called. I was invited to go because I did a lot of like surveys on Club Nintendo back then. I was like just trying to rack up mad points, and then I got invited to go to one of these events, and I was able to bring some friends and family members. So I brought my dad, my sister, and one of my friends. So we're there at the Wii U event in DC, and it's awesome. We get to play all the games before they come out. The developers are right there, so we're giving them direct feedback. My sister, my friend, and I are having everyone I went with had a good time, and my dad, he asked me, he was like, "So, is this like an extension of the Wii? Is this just like a extra controller for the Wii?" Talking about the Wii U gamepad, and obviously the name Wii U. And this was a huge problem. My dad's not some random, bumbling idiot that doesn't fuck around with technology or anything. My dad has been, into technology since like early to mid 90s when computers were like starting to take off. He's done networking, he's done programming, he's done help desk, pretty much anything you can do in like a computer job, he has done. He set up like entire infrastructures and designed software that is used throughout the military training. So he does a lot. He knows computers, he knows technology, and that was a huge problem when he asked me. Is just another controller for the Wii? Because I know there's so many parents out there, so many people out there that are nowhere near as technologically savvy as my father, and for him to ask that was a huge red flag. And Nintendo definitely needs to, make that distinguish, just like, hey, this is a new system that we have, and like really distance itself from its past systems so people don't get confused. Like, oh, the Wii U came out, people didn't even know Nintendo had a new system, and it was a huge mess. So Nintendo definitely needs to advertise the fuck out of this, NX a couple months before it comes out. Let people know that this is going to be a thing, and they also need to convince people to actually buy it. Convince people it's worth buying. That was another problem that the Wii U had with, I don't know, convincing people to buy it. Because with the Wii, the original Wii, you could see it in the controller. You could see it in the way people were playing the games. They're like, oh my gosh, this is cool. This is different. You may have not felt that way playing it, but when you saw it, or when the average person saw it, that's how it looked. When you see people playing on the Wii U, you can't convey that through, explaining it to them. You can't convey it through showing them a video. Unless you're sitting down in front of Wii U, holding that gamepad and actually playing a game with the gamepad that actually utilizes it properly, you'll never really understand how awesome the Wii U gamepad is, and most people don't. So the NX will need some kind of like little wow factor that's obvious from looking at it. Like if you watched a commercial for this, you'd be like, wow, this is awesome. I need to get this. And I'm sure Nintendo will have their own thing going on with the NX like they do for every damn system, but it needs to have that immediate, pull factor. It needs to have the immediate pull factor. It needs to have damn good marketing, and it needs to convince people that it's worth getting, especially if you're cutting the Wii U life cycle short. You're already losing a lot of trust right there from people that did pick up the Wii U. So definitely say those are the main things that the NX needs, and then there's a bunch of like small stuff that would be nice, like some more fresh IPs or bringing back some like the really old ones that have been out for a hot minute. Like Splatoon did amazing. It was a fun game. So maybe some more new IPs, exploring genres that Nintendo hasn't really ventured out to before, and possibly digging a little deeper, bringing back that F-Zero that people keep asking about. Maybe make another Earthbound. I'd like to see them give Golden Sun another shot. I know it's always on handhelds, but it'd be cool if they did a console version. Maybe not a sequel to like the other Golden Suns, but a spiritual successor or whatever. You guys know what I mean. I would definitely like to see the NX have all these things and do very well and succeed. I'm going to pick it up regardless. I don't care too much for Nintendo hardware nowadays. I really don't. But the Nintendo games, Nintendo software, I always have to, stick around for that. They always have the games that I want to play personally. So I'm going to get it regardless. I know some of you guys are going to get it regardless, but hopefully it does well. But then again, what would I know? I'm just some guy on the internet.